All right. Welcome, Remnant, and welcome everyone who is on our live tonight. We appreciate you. We thank you for being here. First and foremost, all praises to the Most High God, Abba. Thank you, Holy Ghost, for everything in Yahweh's mighty name. And notice that we didn't say any other God like Baal or anybody else that anybody may be worshiping, the 22s, the 44s, the 69 gods, and all that kind of stuff. No, the Most High, on one and only God. Let's get that straight, right? The women are going to speak first tonight. This is not Wednesday night, Women's Night. Oh, and welcome to the Remnant Outreach. This is not Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month where all the women are present. Tonight, we just so happen to be up first. There's been a lot of things going on online, and we've been quiet for a while, right? But in the remnant, our men don't want us to be quiet, and the Most High God don't either, because I always said the Most High don't raise no punks, and that goes for men and women. But when we come to you, we're going to come with the knowledge of the Most High God, right? We're going to come to you in spirit and in truth, and nothing but the truth, right? We don't have to be angry. We don't live angry lives. That's for the indoctrinated. That's for the 22s and the 34s and everybody else, right? The Christians and the whoever. Over here, like I said, we fight in spirit and in truth. And at some point, it's like we're going to let people talk. Some people may say, why are you guys entertaining certain things? And I think what a lot of people don't understand is the people that we're talking about, it's not just anybody. It's not like anybody is getting on the internet and they're writing stuff. Me and my husband always said we heard it all before. So we've been talked about, slandered, put out there. We've been on the news. We've been on everything. And so we would look at anybody as anybody. We wouldn't even be looking at them. But because this person who's been online doing this slandering happens to be my husband's wife, Naya's father, and a sibling, two siblings, a sister and a brother, right? And one brother, Manaz, who is not associated with them, right? He is in the remnant over here with us, and who understands that he's bloodline don't mean nothing, but the truth of the Most High God means everything, right? So when over here, that's what we put up against any and everything, this truth. If we're going to bring anything, it's going to be this truth. And we know in the remnant that if you show up any other way other than in spirit and in truth, you are operating in the indoctrination, right? And we're going to allow you to do what you're doing until you just exit yourself out the door, right? And that's just what happened. And so people are like, well, what happened? What happened? This, that, and the other. Anytime you have any type of a group, it could be the Christians, it could be the 22s, it could be the Catholics, it could be whoever, right? When a person does not want to follow that, they are going to go back to the indoctrination because they have nothing else to go back to, right? And it's visible. If you have somebody and they were in the Christian church and they might be doing so-called well for as a Christian is looking at, then later on, they're going to be like, okay, I don't want to follow that no more. What do? They go right back into the indoctrination and do everything they was doing before they came to the Christian church that they thought was wrong or right or whatever, right? They're going to go backwards. And that's just what people do. So you might see videos of him and the other parts of the family and the mother Victoria. You might see them, in previous videos where they are submitting not to us, but the Most High God. We don't submit to humans over here. The Most High may have a servant who is my husband, who is the leader of the remnant, along with me and Naya, right? We are the leaders, but we are submitted and obedient to the Most High God. Now, when you decide that you want to operate in your own understanding and indoctrination, then what happens? And anybody out there can attest to, if you have ever had an experience in a church or any other type of setting, you might follow that. But then after a while, I mean, when I was young, I didn't understand, and I might have tried to follow a religion for a minute, but when I didn't understand, I went right back into the indoctrination and did what I wanted to do, right? With the mindset that I had, with no information. But see, these are people who've had this information, right? Eddie was in this information for 3 years, and before that, he was following my husband with daily fires, right? So it's not like he didn't have this information, and he was family because he's Naya's father. Then he brought his children who followed him all the time. But look, when you have someone like that who goes backwards, they can only go back to what they was operating in before they came here. Because what happened is when a person don't get something their way, or somebody doesn't see things their way, or they feel like they too big to be, like not reprimanded, but just called out on what is wrong, right? And corrected, then they don't want to be there no more. It's like a little kid when they're in a group and somebody says you can't do that. Oh yes, I can, because what do? They throw tantrums, and then they want to talk about everybody in their group. They're not friends no more, and usually they start fights, right? Well, that's what's going on right now. Some little kid stuff. And we're going to come with this truth. We ain't playing little kid games, right? We're going to let you be a little kid for a while, and then we're going to come with this truth. And what we do over here in the remnant is that we are not thinking that anything Eddie does is exotic. We expect him to go all the way to the end of ignorance when it concerns Satan, right? He gonna go all the way to the end. So when you guys see stuff, to you guys, it's a little crazy. Like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. Well, we can, because he's in the indoctrination. And in the indoctrination, when you drown in, you don't drown pretty. You drown ugly as heck, and it looks ugly, right? And we just sitting over here waiting for you to get to your end, and the Most High is waiting for you to get to your end. Because it's one thing to talk about us, but when you keep putting our God into it, then that's something else. You're going to have to find out on your own, but we most definitely going to speak truth to power, like they say, and we going to make sure that we put out everything that we have in our receipts of who we know you are, you and your other part of the family. So they done put stuff out, and they done wrote lies, and they're creating stuff because that's what people do when they want attention, when they want to prove something, right? We never felt like we had to prove that, and to this day we don't either. We just going back on what you saying because it's the truth. Like I said, we gonna bring the truth. You gonna bring your lies, and you gonna bring up some other stuff because you in your little itty bitty feelings and stuff like that. And all y'all in your feelings and operating out of bitterness and anger, because that's what the world does. And that's exactly what y'all look like. And we just over here like, okay, you put that out. You put some stuff out about everybody in our family. You talked about the remnant. Y'all was talking about the remnant even before you had an issue with Tori. Y'all was talking about the remnant. You guys was literally over there being Satan behind closed doors, acting like ain't nobody over here gonna say nothing. Like you so big over there behind closed doors that you couldn't say none of that stuff in nobody's face. That ain't nothing but Satan, right? Building, trying to build a little army of people to be like you, to be like-minded like you. Don't nobody want to be with the like-minded indoctrination but you. Right? And Tori and Elijah, right? And maybe Victoria, I know sometimes people feel like they ain't got nowhere else to go, so they just follow the freaking leader. But you know what I'm saying? Over here, we always gonna bring truth. When Naya's talking, she bringing the truth. Anybody in here talking, Manaz, his son, talking the truth. We talking the truth. And now you guys go beyond lies and start bringing the women and the children into your stuff, talking about my daughter, talking about, and I'm just going to put it out there. Like, these people are talking about my God gonna answer by fire in judgment when you up here talking about We trying to sacrifice my husband's wife, Naya, for a child. We have a child now. That's just demonic. It's some straight demonic behavior when you say, why are we grooming? What are we grooming my young 6-year-old daughter for? If you think you're going to get away with that, you not. You know what I'm saying? And we gonna continue to bring the truth while you keep making up these facades and these lies and these things that you want people to look at because you're trying to build a channel or something, or because you got this bitterness and hatred. First of all, the moment you got angry, all y'all, you lost. That's what you didn't understand, is that the moment y'all got angry is the moment you lost. And the moment you got angry was way before Houston and way before all that, when you felt like you was called out on something that everybody in the remnant gets called out on if they're not operating in this information. We gonna make sure we're washing you in this word. We gonna call out the sin. We gonna call out the wrong, because that's what we do. We're not Christians over here where we just saying, you know, just be loved and God love you and he'll take care of everything. We know you got work to do over here. We know if you want to be changed, then you better apply this information to be changed. But when a person does not want to be corrected and changed, that's what they do right here. They go slander, they go talk, they go be bitter, they go be angry, and then they blame. They play the blame game, right? So that's all we've been hearing is the blame game. Somebody wants an apology for something that didn't happen. And if somebody wanted an apology for something so small, they would have never went this far. So you know from the gate that that was not the initial problem, that you had issues from the gate, because you wanted to be the leader that you never was. You never was that. And you, everywhere you went to the Muslim nation, you went to the 22 and everybody else trying to be somebody's leader, and nobody ever saw you as a leader, so you left. And you did the same thing here. You came over here, we put you in a leadership position, but when you was called out on your sin and you was called out on being wrong, you didn't felt like you supposed to be called out, like you was that special, like you was above the law. Ain't nobody over here above the Most High law. Nobody. And everybody over here takes it with understanding the discipline of the Most High God, but you and Tori and Elijah and Victoria. Okay? So I just want to put that out there because, you know, over here, we've given so much grace, and we always give grace, right? You can come from any background, any vice. I could say the worst of the worst person in the world that somebody can think of. We know the Most High forgives, right? And we know over here, the Most High is the only person who can restore anything that you've ever thought you've done in your life, no matter how bad it has been, right? We know you can come here and do that. And with Eddie's background, he did not want to do that. He wanted to come over here and stay undercover because he came to do a job, and his job failed, and it failed miserably, and he's mad about it, right? So, I mean, that's just what happens, you guys, when somebody comes and they want to come to a place like this and not be real and try to live a felonious life in front of the Holy Ghost. It's not going to happen. You going to be busted out. The Holy Ghost is just going to allow you to be shown as who you are. And that person, that who you are, if you don't want to be redeemed, then you're going to be out of here. You just going to choose to take yourself out. You cannot live under the spirit of the Holy Ghost being Satan himself. You just cannot. It's not going to happen. And he gave him a chance. The Most High gave him a chance, and gave him a chance to clean his life up, to come with the truth, to show himself that he wanted to be underneath the Most High God and his instructions, and he chose to do otherwise. So when he chose to do otherwise, there he go, back into the indoctrination. And if you look at videos of him here, you could see the differences night and day when he was trying to operate underneath this information, and how he is operating now that he's back into the indoctrination. I mean, it ain't rocket science. That's what happens, right? When you do not want to submit and be obedient under this, and you want to operate your own way, instead of how the Most High wants and expects you to operate, you don't want to align yourself up. You want to make your own rules and your own regulations, then you're not going to be here. Because everybody in the remnant operates the same, whether it's courting, whether it's how you live your life, whether it's cussing, whatever it is, we keep each other accountable. That person did not want to be accountable, neither did his other children. So then you find yourself on the other side. And then when you're called out, now you start bringing up this felonious stuff, and now we got to call you out with the receipts, because we always gonna have receipts. The Holy Ghost gonna make sure we have receipts. That's why we always come back when you guys say, why are you going back and forth? We got to show the receipts, right? We got to call out the lie, right? We got to make it plain. We got to show you guys that this is how it was going. This is what it was, and this is what happened. So when you ask what happened, is when a person does not want to submit and be obedient, and they don't want to take correction when everybody in here does, right? It's part of the process. It's part of the process when you don't want to live that evil life no more, right? So when a person does that, that's exactly what happens. Then you find yourself over there by yourself, and then you don't like it, because now you being called out because you started something, because you was angry and you was bitter and you was mad because you couldn't have what you wanted over here. And we're not going to have it, y'all. So I just wanted to explain that real quick, and then we'll allow some other ladies to give to talk about what they want to talk about. Who's next? You want next?
Good evening. So tonight I just want to bring some clarity about the remnant, who we are, and what we're called to do. So starting off with the women, when a woman receives information and she values it, she experiences this rebirth of having her consciousness awakened within her and striving to please the Most High. And within that, we know how to operate within the foundations of the culture, and we are consistently after the Most High's heart above our feelings, because we know this walk with the Most High is not something that's driven by emotion. It's intention. And regardless if you're a man or woman, we know that there is a structure within the remnant. So above all, it's the Most High, then it's a man, and then woman, and then children. And each role carries their own responsibilities. Each position has their own expectation that we need to be operating within, and we need to follow that in order to have that perfect order. Because once something falls out of line, once someone falls out of line, then that's where that disorder comes in. That's where that chaos comes in. And as we've been seeing as of late, the past few weeks, there is disorder and destruction that's been displayed, right, for the remnant to see. And it's not because the standards change, but it's because you're no longer valuing the information. You're not keeping that like standard. It's not upheld. And when that order is ignored, there's that disorder. So in the remnant, though, we know that if there's disorder, that those are things that still need to be worked out within us. And as long as we're willing to get up from that fall and work on that, then that's not something that we look at each other like down upon. But when you fall and you're not getting up and you just keep digging yourself deeper in a hole, deeper and deeper and deeper, then, you know, we can't, there's an accountability that comes within the remnant. So let me read a scripture. It's Revelations 3:16 AMP. So because you are lukewarm, spiritually useless, and neither hot nor cold, I will vomit you out of my mouth, rejecting you with disgust. And there are requirements when it comes to the remnant. It's not preferences, it's not seasonal, it's not optional. We know we have to be consistent. We need that endurance. You have to be excellent and accountable. And then there's the ongoing battle of flesh versus spirit. And of course, it's natural for humans to feel and to react, but that's how the enemy has it set up. It's easier to pick the route that has less requirements. But the remnant, we're not governed by emotion, we're governed by the truth.
All praises.
So the issue is never what the truth is, it's whether you'll remain consistent to that or not. We're not twisting anyone's arm. We know the value of information. So when you stop yielding to the flesh and submit to the spirit, this is what the remnant is. This is what it looks like to be on assignment and in alignment with the Most High.
Yes.
You want to grab the baby real quick? Probably keep on. Okay, so where do I start? First of all, it's very disappointing, but not surprising. Thank you. Yeah, it's very disappointing, but not surprising. I've been around and I've witnessed a few things, and I've even, let me say this first. We operate in transparency and accountability around here, which you guys keep saying like we don't have for whatever reason, when clearly y'all don't have it. Being around the family that, being around the whole family, I could see a lot of the compromise just due to the conversations that was being had, and even me almost falling short on that as well and getting involved with what they were talking about, whether it be gossip or it be I want to say like their versions of like conspiracy theories or whatever the case may be, right? I could see the compromise with that, with them just how they was talking about the remnant, and even being in their household, I'm sitting there getting involved with it as well. Even Manaz was in the he would go in the other room because it's like he didn't want to hear that. Like it was a lot going on in that household where they just, it's almost like, yeah, it was just a bunch of gossip, right? And even Manaz had to tell me like, hey, I don't want you involved with that, with the whole, because it's gossip. That's all they would do is just talk about the remnant men and talk about some of the women or whatever the case may be. It would just be talk, right? And I'm sitting here thinking like, you guys are talking about people here, but the whole thing is there's growth around here for everybody, right? So you're supposed to be a leader and you're sitting here judging or whatever the case may be, judging, talking about the other people's growth in the remnant, right? Not knowing that you're falling short on your own growth because you're talking about them. And that's one thing I was going to say, because I did get involved with that and I was gossiping and I was sitting there saying some of the things and agreeing with some of the things because I did not know a lot of the things that were being said until my dad bought clarity and the receipts, because that's what we have. We have receipts around here. So there's something that I had talked about with Dre and Dove about it, because Dove came to me and she noticed I wasn't looking at her, I wasn't really engaging with her much because something was eating me up. And that something was I was having a conversation with Dove and I twisted her words and I had went back to talk to Victoria and Tori about it. And I even went back and I twisted the words that were being said. And it was eating me up. It really was, because I knew it was wrong, right? I knew it was wrong. And yeah. Yeah. I knew it was wrong. So, of course it's going to eat you up, because, I mean, if you don't come out with the truth, you don't come out with the transparency, it's going to sit there and it's going to eat you up. It's going to eat you up real bad. So, the words that were have twisted, and I did end up talking to Victoria about it too, and I had said what I said was a lie. What I said was twisted words, and it was a lie. Should I say what was said? Should I talk about what was said? So me and Dell were having a conversation, and she was basically explaining the
courting between Papa and Naya.
explaining the courting between my dad and Naya, and she was saying what I'm trying to think exactly what she was saying, but she was saying basically, like, let me say what I had. How do I
I'll say what I said, and you can say what you
what
said.
I
So we were talking, and I told her, which she already knew anyway, but mind you, she had been talking to them already, so I didn't know that. And I had said that they never had sex until after they got married at the family prayer, and after everything was approved, then they consummated their relationship. And I said, but if they didn't and they had sex, because in the remnant, if you have sex, that's your wife. But I said they didn't, right? So go ahead.
So I went back to them, and I went and twisted those words and said, well, I think I heard Dub say, like, that they had sex before. I think that's what I heard or whatever. Mind you, they were already speculating that that's what had happened, right? They were already, like, speculating a little bit, like, that's what happened. They were going behind our backs anyways, and da-da-da-da, right? So I had went back and I twisted those words. I did. And because I was projecting as well, and so I went back and I twisted those words, and we got cleared. I ended up talking to Dre and Dove about it. I ended up going to them about it and saying, taking accountability, right? And so I'm saying this to say, because I seen everything that was going on, like the words that was being said, and it's just very ugly how deep it got, like, over something so little. And now I look back and I really see the compromise way beforehand, way before Houston, way before just the little things, the way they would operate, right? Like, even it's them leaving early, or just, you could tell, like, they didn't really want to be up here and talk. Like, you could see.
Can I say something real quick? I want you to start back. First of all, she is not scared. She is our daughter, first of all, right? And I think what some of you guys are not getting is that the person we're talking about, Eddie, her husband almost right now, well, her fiance, is Eddie, one of Eddie's sons, who is still in the remnant. So the reason why she is teary-eyed and shaking is because she allowed herself to get in a situation, because they were like family to her too, right? So for you to say she's scared, she is actually coming out proclaiming where she made a wrong. And that is big, because that was the problem with Eddie, is that he didn't want to take accountability for his wrong. His daughter didn't want to take accountability for her wrong. The mama didn't want to take accountability for her wrong. And nobody wanted to take accountability. So she is taking accountability in the eyesight of the Most High is good, because that means that she don't want that sin with her. We are her parents. You don't think she up here feeling some kind of way about talking about her parents behind their back? That's big of her to come on here and confess that she did wrong like that, because that takes a big person to do that, because it shows that she don't want to be that. Let's get it straight, because I know y'all out there would not do that.
Yeah, so there, yeah, what you had said, and even also too, I wanted to address one thing that was said, that you know, that the women look like robots up here, something like that. That we look like robots, and all we talk about is what they say, submission and obedience. That's all we talk about. Like that we don't know nothing else but submission and obedience. And yeah, we're a reflection of our husbands, or we're a reflection of this information. So why would we not talk about that? Why would we not keep saying that? That's something I wanted to address, because you're saying we're sitting here like robots. I don't see no robots. I see some strong women.
Yeah.
So behind us is this, behind these strong women is the Most High, right? So to say we sitting here looking like robots is funny to me.
But that must be Eddie and Elijah, because they say, what did we say to you? First of all, everybody that's here has a choice to be here.
She has money.
Everybody here has a choice to be here. Nobody is forced. Just like Eddie and them ain't here, she could have chose to stay over there and not be here. Anybody here can choose to not be here. We don't hold nobody ransom or nothing to be here, right? You either remnant or you not remnant. She chose to move with the truth, right? And that's what happens when you move with the truth. She didn't want that sitting with her. Okay, just to let y'all know, that got to be them, because anybody else who's been here in the remnant knows how we operate.
Yeah, and I chose the truth, and I chose to be here, and I chose to be accountable, because I know I'm accountable to my God, I'm accountable to my fiance, and I'm accountable to this remnant. And so, yeah, so I had to come out and say what I needed to say, because I was so close with that family. And also, one of the things was too, was I felt like I had a family, and I didn't want to, even though I wasn't looking at, like, even though I know you guys are my family, I was looking at them as my family too. So of course it's like I didn't want to lose them. So I was willing to lie behind that. And that was wrong. And yeah, and I'm here telling y'all about it, and I'm coming to my family about it too. So yeah, that's kind of what I want
And
to say.
two, what people don't understand is that the Most High gave me a dream
Oh, yeah,
that
that's right.
Julia had gave Eddie the keys to my house, right? And at the time, I never said anything. The dream went further because some of those things already played out, but the ending has not. Now, when that happened, I never came to Julia. I just waited for the Holy Ghost to bring that situation about, because I hadn't seen it yet. It hadn't manifested. So the reason why is because Julia was not, when she wasn't looking at me and smiling, and she wasn't herself then. And we also talked about it on one of our remnant Saturdays, and I noticed that after that Julia's behavior changed, because I remember some of the men said that sound like information. And I just let it play out, because I wanted her by herself to confess and come clean, because remember, we don't force people to do anything. If she had chose to stay over there with that side in the indoctrination, then that would have just been her choice. It would have been no skin off my back. The Most High just showed me what was going on. And I'm not one to say, yeah, the Most High showed me this. No, I'm going to let it play out. And then when it comes to pass, I'm going to be like, okay, that's what it was. So I called my daughter and I was like, Julia, I feel like this, that, and the other, like something is going on, because, you're not looking at me, where you hugging me is different. Like I'm looking in your eyes. You're not trying to look at me. Something is going on. And then she told me a little bit, but then I remembered in the dream, it was specific that it wasn't about Naya or my husband. It was about me, because she gave the keys to my house to Eddie. And in the dream, when I called her, she was crying and apologizing. So I called her back And then when I told her that part is when she already confessed. Mind you, she telling y'all today, we already knew, okay, because we had a family talk. So the Most High lives here, and everything else that's been going on, we already knew about with Eddie and everybody else. We knew way ahead of time. So everything that's going on is not new to us, right? We just allow things to play out because the Most High will show something, but He will also give people a chance to get back, right? To get in His good graces and to operate in truth and not the indoctrination, right? And so, yeah, I just wanted to say that because, you know, I thank God that she is confessing those things and she don't want to be like-minded like the indoctrination and like the father of lies, Satan. She want to be clear. Her conscience want to be clear, and she love us. And you guys got to understand, you don't know her background and the things that she's been through, you know, foster homes and all this kind of stuff. So a person who's always looking for a family might do some things that somebody else might not do. They might compromise, not understanding what they're compromising because she already had a family. But a person who hasn't had a family like they felt like they want might feel like more is better, right? Or maybe it's better over here. So you guys got to understand that there's a history and a background with Julia as to why she would even allow herself to be in that space. And we give her grace for that and praise the Most High that she confessed before Him and let that stuff out and not let it live with her like other people be doing.
Hey everyone. So, you know, the women, we weren't going to talk. You know, we were just going to sit back and, you know, let it play out, get handled however it needed to get handled. But, you know, some things came about and my name was brought up. Actually, someone also put a picture of me up there. But again, nothing until the story was brought up. And all I can say is like, Tori. Like Yahweh Shai saying, Martha, Martha, Martha.
Yeah.
You know?
Sorry. Yep.
And the story that she had said was when me and Aubrey and the children came out here for the summer. And, you know, when I was listening to it, I was like, come with the whole truth though.
Mm-hmm.
What, you know, when I was listening to her interview, it was, there was some parts that were being left out, you know, just to make it seem more than what it was. Like, just come all the way. And it's just so heartbreaking to see that where she was at and to where she's at now, it's like two different people. You know, I don't know who that person
That's
is.
what happens, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then just to give clarity, you know, what had happened that day was, you know, we didn't plan on doing anything. It just happened, you know, and nothing was set. An idea was created, but why are we going to ask or tell anybody about something that might not happen? And then someone make plans and then what we said was going to happen doesn't happen, and then, you know, things just get twisted up like that. So we didn't want to do that. And so so what, we were in the park that Saturday, you know, I did ask Tori when she was saying goodbye to everybody, you know, where are you going? And she said, I'm just, you know, that she was going to go to her dad's. That's it. It wasn't, oh, I'm going to, because she had stated that she was going to go to her dad's, drop him off, and then go to the house. None of that was said. You know, that was extras that was added on. All that was said was going to my dad's. I'm like, okay, that's beautiful. They're going to spend some bonding time because at that time, Eddie wasn't living at the house anymore. That's nice. Okay. And that's all I thought of that whole situation was, okay, they're, you know, bonding time, good. But then I heard that something happened when they got home and they got hyped up and, you know, feelings by someone who didn't even know what was going on, you know. And so after that, a conversation was had with Dee and all four of us, you know, and Naya was there, Aubrey, me, and Tori, you know, and this is before Queen Naya. Let me just put that out there. That was before Queen Naya. And so when we had the conversation, it's because Dee knew that, you know, you guys felt hurt. You know, there was something that wasn't right at that time, you know. So he felt that he needed to bring it up and bring some clarity, you know, any misconceptions. He was courteous because he had love for you guys, you know. And so, hey, let's get this resolved right here and there. So all four of us, we talked, cleared it up. We apologized, you know, Aubrey and I apologized for making them feel left out. And, you know, that was my fault for not saying anything to both of y'all, rather than assuming just because, you know, I was told that, you know, you guys were living with your dad. I should have said something, you know. But after we had that conversation, we had a great game of Uno. We had a good time. We played, we laughed. It was beautiful. You know, we got it resolved right then and there. But just to know that this has been your disposition, Tori, this whole time is really disheartening. It's crazy, yet you made up a whole world about all of this, while every week, you know, you guys would go out, and never did Aubrey and I get invited, but, you know, we weren't bothered by it either. You know, you say you operate in your bigness, but right now you're operating like a little girl. You know how many times you said you did, you know, how many times you did something out of bounds or said something and I wanted to check you for it, but, you know, my husband said no, you know, that I need to give people space to let them grow into a position of leadership that they have been appointed to, even though they didn't really deserve it or they were not ready for. You know, trust me, Tori, there's reason why your courting process didn't go through with Dee, and it's not what you think it is. You know, you like to say you came through here like a ball of fire, but really it was more like a struck match that we felt too bad to blow out. We are not ones to break spirits. We love you though. We really love you. And we hope that little dim of flame lights up again and reignites, because all of those dim excuses and lack of accountability are very unwomanly. You know, like your dad always used to say, you were raised in the suburbs or the burbs. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. Our kids were raised in the burbs too, you know, raised real nice. But little girl, we were called out of the mud for reals.
Come on now.
Mm-hmm. Period. Period. Oh, for real.
So I'll start by saying, and please, if I misquote this, let me know. But the late, great Mel Taylor said, I don't have nothing bad to say about nobody, only good to speak of myself. So what I will say is, I'm over here living my best life right now.
Period.
I'm loved.
Yeah,
I'm
we are.
considered.
Indeed. Yes, Tanya. That's right, Tanya.
I'm loved. I'm considered.
Period.
I'm covered, and I'm still here. So that's all I got.
Don't cover the other mic with your hand.
Okay, guys. So I know Okay, now first let me start off with, I know I'm a child. I know I'm coming up here speaking like a child, except I have the information. So I'm gonna come up here with some fire that you may not like because I am a child. But you may want to take this because, like I said in one of my other classes, I got all the answers. So let's start off with a Bible verse, a pre-talk before your whooping. Okay?
Man.
Galatians 4:9. Now, however, since you have come to know the truth, God, through personal experience, or rather to be known by God, how is it that you are turning back again to the weak and worthless elemental principles of religions and philosophies,
Mhm.
to which you want to be enslaved all over again?
Period.
You want to be
Okay.
enslaved all over again?
That's what they did.
You want to turn back into that indoctrination? When you failed that first time, when you got corrected that first time, you should have took that truth with you. But instead, you let all them demons, all that mud, all that anything nasty, you let all that come into you. You let it settle into you little by little. Any emotions that were out of bounds, you should have been corrected it. Just like how I got to get corrected myself, all of us in here go through the same things. It may not be in the same way. We may not be walking through life in the same way, through the same path, but we all got the same information. So that just shows how little that just shows that, honestly, that really just shows what God you are serving too. Because what God are you serving that you don't have accountability, right? You don't have accountability, because our God, we all know that we all accountable to the same God. We all under the same God.
Yeah,
So
we don't
us,
make
y'all
up
talking
none.
about we up here looking like robots, we under the same God. We all operating in the same submission and obedience because we all got the same information. So for y'all to be up there, and then y'all was under it too. So y'all was robots too. Y'all was
Yeah.
y'all was
part.
robots too. Y'all trying to throw backlash at us just because y'all outside of it. No, y'all, we got lives up here. Every single live that y'all was in is still up here. So everybody who want to partner with them talking about some, oh yeah, they robots. Well, y'all talking to a robot. Y'all talking to a robot too. So let's not be acting like we all, and even if you was under here speaking on people behind their backs, like Doug said, why you didn't come over here and say it to people's face? Because y'all act like people in the remnant, y'all act like we don't have men and women circles. And I remember that and like I said, I'm coming up here speaking like a child with information. So I'm not coming up here with any type of emotion. No, none of that. Because of course, if your people getting talked about all crazy and lies getting spread about them, of course you gonna come up there and put some belt onto them people who spreading all them lies and stuff. Because first of all, none of it is true. I'm a child up in here and I get treated well fed. Dove food is good. We all up here, we all eating good, living good, life is great. Now you see your life ain't great because you not over here under the Most High gonna reward his people. First of all, it says in the Bible, in our history book, let me correct that, in our history book, he be telling us about the gifts and all these things that we will receive because we are under our submission and obedience. You was receiving those gifts and stuff, but now so you got all these nice gifts and stuff, the Most High blessing you with an apartment and all this stuff for your family and all types of things, people in the remnant helping you and just everything. Like, how you gonna turn your back on that so quickly? How you gonna let one little emotion take over your whole mindset? One little attitude, one little, I don't know, anger, sadness, whatever, any type of emotion that you had, you let that take over your whole mind enough for you to just go out of the information just like that, go out of your submission and obedience just like that. Are you serious? What type of what type of lockdown you got yourself on? I know every day it be. Let me tell you something. Just because it's like temptation. Why would you go into that temptation just like that? After all that you've built inside of yourself, everybody in here builds themselves up. Everybody in here that's inside of this information till this day has built themselves up with walls that can come against anything. Walls that's gonna keep you from being walls that's going to keep you from being out of bounds, but not only out of bounds, it's going to protect you from anything out of bounds. So that just shows how little your walls are too. How little, that just shows how little you, that just shows like also, that just shows your, hold on, you know, because hold on, because that just shows your what is it called? It's not going into that temptation, but it's like how little your no, how little you how less how much of discipline that you lack. That it just shows that you didn't have no discipline at all. So even when Tori was put in that circle and she got all that stuff that she got called out for, because yes, she was in a circle. That's why she mad. She was in a circle. So
and
even
the
though
lies
you
they tried to bring against somebody else to deflect off what she did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So no, not just that, but it just shows, what if nobody did catch you that day? Was you even gonna say anything?
Right.
Was you even gonna come before your people and tell them and just come before your people and get clean and renew yourself? Was you even gonna get up from that fall like that, or was you gonna keep on being sneaky? Y'all remember that the Most High God can see everything. Everything. Your thoughts, your movements, everything. Your heart when you moving and doing stuff that you're not supposed to, or when you doing stuff that you is supposed to, or you just trying to impress somebody. If the Most High gonna see it. We may not see it. The people that around you may not see it. Everybody may think you a good person, but if your heart is not actually good, when you doing all of that, the Most High gonna see it. He gonna bring it to light. Because people act can only go so far. An act can only go so far, because as soon as you get in your feelings or something, as soon as something like Dove said, as soon as something don't go your way, guess what's gonna happen? Your curtain has been lifted. Your real self is out.
I guess you scared too, huh, Karaya? Because you sound scared.
No.
Woo, whip it. Oh God.
So like I said, your curtain gonna be lifted. Y'all real selves, all this stuff that everybody's just now hearing, like I said, we don't care about what else you was talking about. We don't care about any of that, because our walls is strong enough to walk past you just like that. We don't care. You've been in this. We all know y'all been in this information for so long, longer than me. Guess who's still here? Because I'm still under that discipline. I'm still, and not just because my dad is one of the I don't know, he's the mighty Voss. So just because he's that doesn't mean that I don't have my own God to be accountable to. Of course I have my own God to be accountable to. Just the other day I had to get in trouble, but guess what? I still got to get back up and still continue to operate.
And let's not get it twisted either, because I see some comments talking about Eddie's a leader of the remnant. He was a leader because of position. He was a leader because his daughter married my husband. And because the leader, my husband said he was a leader, not because he done raised nobody over here for all these years. So let's not get it twisted, y'all, because the people in these comments that's making those comments, that is them making those comments. So let's not forget, you guys, y'all going back and forth with Eddie and Elijah and them in the comments. It ain't nobody but them. And to the other people, it should be very obvious that it is them. Beyond your mind. Right. Come on, man.
And also,
yeah, obvious. Come on, man.
And if he was given that leadership position, there's a class called Are You Ready to Be a Leader? Or something like that. And I've watched that class. And also, even though you may be a leader, your people gonna see if you're a leader for reals though. because Dre been showing us, he show us receipts, everything. He show us the leader that he calls himself to be. So Eddie out there, that the Most High called him to be. So we seen that. We been seeing any characteristics that you lack that wasn't a leader, just like I think Joe said that we gonna give you some space, or Yanni said we gonna give you some space to grow. So yes, we is gonna give you some space to grow, but you the leader, so you should be getting your butt up just like everybody else. Just like if Dre fall, I don't know if he falls,
was the leader.
yeah, he was the
a
leader.
leader.
He was a
Yeah,
leader.
was.
So,
Yeah,
but just like if Dre fall, he gonna get himself up right along with everybody else.
right.
Everybody else in here can get themselves up. It's just, do you got and it's not even about energy. Who are you accountable to? Who's your God? Who's your
Yes.
God that you're calling for, and you're gonna keep walking that path with him and continue to get up and go and get up and do what you need to do for your God every day. Anything that you do in your life is all because of the God that you believe in. Just like video games, you gonna get your butt up and go sit in front of the Xbox and find the controller that you need for it. Okay, now go find your controller that you need for this information and keep it. Keep it and stay under this submission and obedience, because it's really not that hard unless you being hard-headed. You out here being hard-headed and you thinking about going back into that world. Just like that scripture. Let me pull it up real quick because I had it. So it's Genesis 19:26. But Lot's wife from behind him, foolishly longing, looked back towards Sodom in an act of disobedience, and she became a pillar of salt. Now, let me say something. Y'all became a pillar of salt. Now, since y'all became a pillar of salt, now y'all stuck in time. Just like how Christians are stuck with Jesus and stayed at Jesus, now you gonna stay at Jesus too. Because now you still can get this information, but is your mind still gonna be open to it? Is the Most High still gonna let you get the math that we get in every day that we can understand? Is the Most High gonna let you do that? Or is he gonna block you out completely? Or you gonna just see us manifesting, just like Dre said, all these manifestations and stuff. Y'all just gonna see us walking, still running, still with the manifestations that y'all stopped getting a long time ago. All that. So yeah, that's all I want to say.
Oh, praises. Yeah, and I wanted to say something too. You know, a man that's not a man is just a little boy when he online talking about people's wives and talking about, I'm just gonna call it out. You can never hurt me. You can't, nothing you could ever say and nothing you could ever do could hurt me. All you doing is hurting yourself. Because you talking about I look haggard and whooped. Is that why your daughter always trying to look like me and dress like me and do everything like me? Please. I'm a remnant woman. You can't never say nothing to hurt my feelings. But I do know y'all over there in them videos looking haggard and wore out as heck, and dry and dull and disgruntled and everything else and lifeless. So how about that? It's laughable.
And at the end of the day, we have a wealthy life and you got to go back to your poor life. So after
period.
all this is done, she rides a Bentley every day. She can have anything she wants, and she does. So at the end of the day, when you come down to whether people would want your life or our life, I guarantee you, it'll be our life. You wanted it. So at the end of the day, you go ahead and do what you need to be doing. And, you know, y'all keep on. And I think that it's admirable that you guys have stuck together all your lives to maintain the places that you've had to live and be. But the blessing of the Lord maketh rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. So ain't no sorrow over here,
None.
but you do see the blessing of the Lord.
Mhm.
In every area of life that I've ever been into, the same thing was manifested and produced. And I know Khalil is recording our live for his live. And that's okay, right? Because we're something to look at. But let me just say this before I let Naya speak, and I don't know if Kiana needs to speak or not before the men come up here. I I don't expect nothing less from a man that told on his connects. I don't expect nothing less from a man that told on his connection. You talking about you done sold drugs around the country. No, you were sent as a confidential informant around this country. Your daughter called you out. Your daughter was asking you about those informants. No, not the informants, you the informant, but asking you about them FBI agents. This is what she said. That escorted you out of Arizona when you told on your connect, when you got caught with a kilo of cocaine in the airport. Yeah, we know. So we expect for you to go as low as a confidential informant that don't take care of their own responsibility will go. Your daughter said that you was escorted by 2 officers. Well, I think they had 2 cars. She thinks one. I think they were in 2 separate police cars, making sure you got outside of Arizona. She said you went into the back seat probably for about an hour talking to the FBI once they had escorted you out of Arizona, you and your family at the time. You shouldn't be saying anything. Your face should be plastered as an individual that never takes care of their own accountability. So we're not shocked that you don't want to be accountable here when you're told on your connects there. Right? That's what we're dealing with. Khalil, did he tell you that? Did he explain to you how he got caught with a kilo of cocaine in the airport? But he told his daughter he was just smart enough to get away. And that's why her video was questioning him about what's going on. So all that other stuff that you want to talk about is mute. Let's talk about that. What you think about that, honey?
Yeah, because he just called himself a higher thinker. That's laughable.
Well, that's what I was gonna say to make myself clear about the other day when I made that video. You know, wanting clarity on that. But
Well, clear it up. You can say what I said.
as far as what? You just said it.
I can't say it like you.
So it's going over? What do you mean?
Say what you want to say.
Okay. Yeah, because you took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was really gonna touch on, you know, as far as, you know, like I've mentioned plenty of times growing up, how, you know, it was always one side of a story, but not the full story, you know, of how he, and you can still see that behavior, you know, just that picking and choosing behavior, you know, that spirit of, you know, even when they were here, you know, there was always some kind of, they will always separate themselves from the remnant. They had this thing where, you know, like it was public where we had a women's night and Tori was expressing how the Bells do one thing, operate one way, and the remnant operate another way. You know, so just having that same disposition and carrying that through in not just one area, but in every area, right? Even before, you know, even before Andre and I got together, you know, still having that disposition of, you know, because we've been through so many religions and going from the nation to the Jewish temple, and, you know, and him feeling like he's always had some kind of information, you know, always putting that above the remnant information, you know, instead of, and I'm not going to say that they never took in the information, but, you know, just seeing that, you know, just fighting with that, you know, having that disposition, even, you know, the way Tori was operating and my dad was operating in, you know, as well as Elijah, just having that, you know, that disposition of picking and choosing whatever the information worked, when in whatever area in their life the information worked for them, they would operate in that, but still try to downplay it in some kind of way if they felt that they wanted to uplift whatever they had before, you know, in certain areas. So just going with that is, my dad, when he had his courting process that he don't like to take accountability for, same thing as Tory. Just having that, just seeing that, him, the only leader, the only time he would be a leader was when it came to his children. But he didn't know how to be that amongst other men, and you could just see that's exactly why. It's like, I've mentioned before how, just seeing the way that he has failed so short of being a leader here, and the only thing that he would hold on to was being the buffer, right? And even he couldn't do that right. He would just, not, and, even the brothers feeling that of, just lacking, not having the love there. He's only been, even just growing up, just his way of communicating, his way of showing love, and we all know that comes from, ways of growing up, of how your parents could have been. Well, we know how my grandmother was towards him, because although his dad was there, but he wasn't, he wasn't completely present in his life, so just, but still seeing that before of what I thought, just what I thought was the only point of reference of what I thought a man was, and then to come in the information to see what a man really is, and then to see how much he has lacked that, even when I look back in my childhood, to see that, he would pick and choose when the man was there. But I can even say, you can pick and choose being a man, either you are or you're not. It's just simple as that. So even just to think about, just going back to when he did tell on his connect, and him always telling that story of how he just, was just so smart and sharp, just getting away with stuff, but really having that truth of, and how hard it was to accept that, of him really, not being a man about, he wasn't really the stand-up guy that he always pictured himself to be, for him to be escorted out and just yeah, it's hard, because I've heard that story plenty of times, and not to just be stuck on that, but that's because that is the main thing that, out of everything that's being said, and even that just being one question that couldn't be answered, right? How he always dodged it, or somebody bring it up, then he's just like, oh, well, Andre brought it up, ask him. But again, the transparency, the accountability, if something went down with that, or a simple question is being asked, you would think that if you really had it in you, then it would be nothing to ask that question, or if there was nothing to hide, then, because it's been said that other people know about it, right? So it wasn't like there was it was a hidden secret, but it was to me though, yeah. So just the way that, to know how that situation played out, it's like even when I look at him now, even him, my sister Tori and Elijah, and thinking that somebody one way, and then just to see the way that they're acting out on the internet is like, you just question the person all the way around. It really makes you question, or really think like, okay, well, who were you really? Because it takes a lot more energy to be fake than it is to just be straight up, right? And yeah, it's like, it's all, you know, just the whole situation is really just, it's a shame. You know, it really is. You know, it's, and to know that those things have always been buried, you know, even, you know, things that Tori is saying about me or Elijah, and, you know, especially my dad, it's like, you know, it's, you know, it was like everything was good when you see me as this little girl, right? To where you think that, oh, she's just, that's just not, I don't say much, whatever. But then when there's a transition in my life, it's something that you can accept, right? Because it's just too much. It's like I don't went from seeing a person go from the complete bottom and been risen to the top, and you just can't fathom how, right? Or why, right? And, you know, even that is, you know, not gonna say it's hurtful, but I mean, but I can see why. I can see why it had to be me though. You know, it's like, because the way that it's just like what my husband would say, like, I mean, jealousy has to act. You know, it can't just be in you. You can't, no matter how long you try to bury it or make it look pretty or whatever, it has to act, you know. And it's like I'm just seeing all of that manifest, you know, all of that at once, you know, just being thrown out there, you know. So but yeah, you know, if that's, you know, that's where they choose to be. And I mean, hey, you know, I mean, even my mom, you know, that's a shame, you know, just to see who people really are, you know. It's like, being so close. It's just like what my husband just mentioned, how we've always been so close, you know, just growing up. But not, my mom wasn't always there, but just us five, you know, my dad and me and my siblings, you know, how we've always been so close and going everywhere together. But to be like, to look at it now was like, you know, yeah, just having a feeling of like a complete, as if like they're like strangers now, you know. That's how I see it. It's like in the beginning I had to check myself of not being angry, not building up that bitter, and I even had to check myself because I felt my love for them was starting to fade away. I'm not gonna lie, you know. But having to still, you know, operate in who I am and my position, and not allowing them to change me, right? Because although it's like the way I'm seeing it, it's like through all the destruction, my scripture is still being written through it all. I'm still having to stand through all of this, right? Even if the ones that I loved that was always so close change on me, I'm whatever, you know. It's, I still see it as a blessing because the Most High has to show it and remove that away from me, you know. Especially we're expecting our son, that it just can't be around, right? Just to have that double-minded, that double-minded disposition, right? Because I don't want that from him, and he's not going to grow up in that. He's going to know his culture strictly, right? And what it is, for what it is. So, you know, I just see it all as a blessing, you know, as devastating as the situation is, you know. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Just a little something really quick, but I just want to say that it's been talked about before how it looks like when you're in the information and then you go back into the world, it'll be like 10 times worse for you, right? So I've always been like, dang, I don't want that for anyone. But, you know, I'm witnessing it firsthand over the couple of past weeks or the month or so. And it's real ugly. It's real ugly. And all I gotta say is that related to what Tanya said, basically, we living. I think Cry also said too, we living our best lives, having family time, laughs with my sisterhood
Yeah.
that I love so much. They got their brotherhood, just all the family together. It's all love, and you know, we all have love for you, even though we just watching you learn. We just gotta learn. Like but all love, but I mean that's pretty much all I gotta say. You just gonna have to get the whooping constantly until the end. But that's it.
We watch you get your whooping, and we not getting ours after.
Excuse me, Mom. I want to say something.
Okay. Oh, you do.
She came and asked me.
Oh, wow.
Hold on, come here. So this is the daughter that Eddie was attacking, my 6-year-old. And she just came up to me out of nowhere and said she wanted to say something. But he alluded to the fact that she was being groomed or just some real diabolical, sick stuff. And this is what Khalil is supporting on his page right now. A guy who was a confidential informant who attacks little children, puts them online to suggest what are they grooming her for. That's what you are supporting, Khalil. It's not a game. That's who this person is. What you want to say, baby?
Okay. I want to say that all the remnant is here, so I can be in this remnant because they're supposed to be here. That's it.
That's right, baby.
Amen.
All right.
That's right, baby.
Good job, baby. Thank you, men.
Yeah.
Ladies.
And I just wanted to say real quick that somebody said, let's embrace a new mindset. We've been having a new mindset since we've been remnant. So, and we live
Get your Christian self out of here, boy. This is war.
Continued on. We have zero resentment, but we still gonna bring these receipts. We don't have to focus on strengthening. We are strength.
Yeah. We're not Christians, buddy. This is war. We're culture. Somebody come for us that's been a part of us. We have a right to establish that this is how we get down. A lot of us come up out of these streets too. So for somebody to think that somebody's a punk around here, we're gonna let you know we ain't Christians, right? This is the remnant war. I don't care what.
Yeah, man. There, boy. Blessings, everybody. I just want to say, you know, a lot of people from back home and people in the comments. One thing that I've been hearing a lot is they asking me like, how can you stand with the remnant? You know what I'm saying, against your own family, right? Against my father, against my brother, my sister. But my answer is simple, man. It's easy. You know what I'm saying? Because this is not a war. This is not a choice of the remnant or my family. This is a war of principle. You know what I'm saying? This is truth versus lies. You know, one thing that I did learn from my father, despite him not being the embodiment of his message, was some characteristic traits of manhood. You know, one thing that I won't compromise is my truth. So with me knowing that the truth live here, I will never, you know what I'm saying, turn sides, right? But one thing that we seeing, it's like I was like the righteous gardener, right? Amongst, you know, in my household trying to pick out the weeds. You know, I will always hear them, like the bitterness, them seeds of bitterness was being planted. You know what I'm saying? There would always be gossip, like my lady spoke on. There would be gossip. It would be, you know, slander. And I would be the one that's correcting them. You know what I'm saying? I never just let it slide, right? If it was my brother or my sister or my father, you know what I'm saying? I corrected each one of them many times, man. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm seeing the manifestation of what I told them. If they continue to move like that, it'll come to this. You know, it'll come to you that bitterness growing so big to where it's like you can't even control it, you know. And now we just seeing it, you know what I'm saying? We seeing it. And I can't even, you know, a lot of the men up here got they swords sharpened up, you know what I'm saying, and they aim towards y'all, and I can't feel no bad about it because these are grown men, you know what I'm saying? The women up here, grown women, you know, we have families and everything, and y'all done said some crazy, some foul things about it. You know what I'm saying? So now we, you know, we gotta stand against y'all, man. You know, the same way y'all living up to y'all name, salt spoken, you know what I'm saying? Just speaking real salty and bitterness. We gotta live up to ours, man. It's war. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, one thing I wanted to address, right? Because I'm seeing a lot of people are saying, you know, we kind of skipping over the process, saying that our leader was being sneaky with Naya. Mind you guys, I was there through the whole process from the beginning to up to date, you know what I'm saying, where we are now. And, you know, everything about it was integral, you know what I'm saying? It was transparent.
And this is her older brother.
Yes, I'm Naya's older brother, you know what I'm saying? So I was in the household before it was even delivered to the remnant, you know what I'm saying? I watched the whole process from the beginning to up to date, you know what I'm saying? And it was transparent, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just address that right quick, right? So a lot of y'all heard the story about, you know what I'm saying, what brought Naya and Dre together, right? It started with a dream that Unc had. And we all know that, you know what I'm saying, have seen the evidence that the Most High speak through dreams to Dre, right? And so Dre had a dream, you know what I'm saying, that him and Naya was together, just like my pops also had a dream, he claimed, right? And Dre operated, because I'm watching him, right? And he operated in a way that was, I believe, as a leader should operate. He didn't just get the dream and just go and say, oh yeah, you know, I think me and Naya are supposed to court. You know what I'm saying? He operated with caution. So what I saw was him, you know, he told Naya, you know, okay, I'm a, you know what I'm saying, hang around you. I had this dream and I want to see if, you know, if you feel comfortable with this, then it's God. If you feel any bit of uncomfort, this is not the Most High, right? That's integrity. You know, they kicked it a few times, and every time they hung out, it wasn't slick. You know what I'm saying? We saw Dre pull up to the house. We knew where Naya was. We trusted, you know what I'm saying, everything about what was going on, which is why it was never no big spiel of, you know what I'm saying, Dre moving, you know, slick. You know what I'm saying? It was integral. So boom, Naya said that, you know what I'm saying, it was, you know, she was comfortable with it. Dre came, it was accountable in front of the family. We prayed about it, you know what I'm saying, then we brought it to the remnant. And from there, you know what I'm saying, you know, not too long later, they got married, and now here it is, they have a child together. You know what I'm saying? They're giving birth to a child soon. And nothing slick about it, man. Nothing slick about it. Tori, Elijah, my father, even my mom, you know what I'm saying? We all stood before the world and gave Dre our blessing. You know, and it wasn't up until 7 months later when Tori got corrected about a situation where she was out of bounds. And now all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, she's trying to deflect and point the finger back on our leader. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand with that. I seen the whole process. I've witnessed the roots of bitterness, you know what I'm saying, grow inside the household. And, you know, this is not all about an apology. You know what I'm saying? This is way deeper than that. This is coming from a place of, you know what I'm saying, my father wanting to be a leader. My brother and sister, they never really had their own backbone, or I don't know what it was, man. They was always like afraid to take a stand with truth against my father. You know what I'm saying? So they follow after whatever he say. And his form of leadership was outside of what we believe a leader in the remnant looks like, you know? And so they was running with that, man. And that's something I can't stand with. That's something I can't stand with. But
Why not?
yeah, because it's not truth. You know what I'm saying? I can only stand with the truth. You know, I can't stand with anything other than that. But it's a lot of things that was thrown out there that, man, that need to be addressed. But despite all the disrespect that was thrown about, you know what I'm saying, the remnant, Dre, Naya, and I would still never speak disparagingly about them. I'm always keep it respectful. That's my father. I still love him. You know what I'm saying? I love my siblings. And if they decide to get up, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But as far as where y'all at right now, I can't stand with y'all. You know? So I'm gonna pass it around. I'm gonna let the brother speak. And I'll probably give y'all some more words about it. That's all.
Does anybody else want to go first?
Go ahead, dude.
You sure? Go ahead, loved one.
All right. I just, I was following this whole process, and it just reminded me that you guys forgot. You forgot the receipts. You forgot about not this time. You forgot about the prophecy, and you also forgot about how painful the salt can get. And what you should have did at that time is give your burdens to the Most High. What was the scriptures? It's in Psalms 55:22, I think. It said that give thy burdens to the Lord and he will, and set yourself free. You forgot to do that. And I believe it, had you would have done that, you wouldn't be in the position you are in right now. You guys forgot. You got to remember, the salt hurts. And this is for everybody too, who's just now getting in this information. When you go through the salting process, it's not easy. This information, as a matter of fact, this information, it will get you, it doesn't stop the pain, but it'll get you there faster. You understand what I'm saying? So remember, the salt, it hurts. You're putting salt on your wounds. You understand what I'm saying? And that's all I had to say, because you guys got to remember, when the pain comes, when you feel that quarrel or that problem or that anger or that resentment, or when that enemy comes in, you got to remember, like, oh man, now it's time to turn to the Most High, because that's something you wasn't able to handle. And because you didn't turn to the Most High, you're in a position right now. You forgot. That's all I got to say.
You want to go? You want to go first, boss?
Go ahead.
You want to go? Go ahead.
All right. So just my whole take on everything, right? How I start that? I would just talk about order, right? So my whole thing with how everything has been playing out, right? With our former brothers and sisters, right? Is really my issue with it all. My main issue with everything and how it's been playing out is the way that they went about everything, right? Yeah, the way that they handled the way that they, whatever because here in the remnant, right, you can, and then to go over here to what my loved one Trevor was saying, right? There's a space for you to have if you feel like you disagree with something, right? But there's order here, right? And my thing with how everything has played out is the lack of reverence for the order, right? Is the lack of respect for our leader, is the lack of respect for the providence of the Most High God, right? There's a way, there's a protocol, there's a procedure for how you address something that you feel like you might have a disagreement with, right? So my focus over all of it is the way that you went about addressing what you feel like you had an issue with, or what you feel like you might have disagreed with, right? It was that I, over everything, I have a big problem with, right? Because who you think you are, right? That you feel like you can talk to my leader like that. right? That you can get down like that, that you can reflect disrespect and disorder the way that you did, right? Because in that too, right? In that, like the loved one was saying, it's like you didn't have any type of, and like my daughter was saying, right? Like my baby said, the one that y'all in the comments saying I abuse, right? Like my baby was saying, right? Like, where is your defense, right? Where was your, just like you have no capacity to resist the enemy in no way, right? Like you have no type, nothing was instilled in you to fight against them suggestions that the enemy came with, right? You fell and folded right into them, right? Anything that he came to you and gave to you and spoke to you, you received it, you accepted it, and you acted on it, right? All the way down to the way that you wanted to, all the way down to the way that you started to how you acted it out, right? And how you lashed out. And like moms was saying, I feel like there is really no like that had to be in, there was something else in there, because where's my phone? Because I seen something. No. Crying. Oh, it's on the floor. Okay. Because I seen a comment you said, and I think moms was saying something about like it was something else going on in there, right? Because there's no way you felt like it was like it was like there was no way you blew up the way you did and acted out the way you did over something like that was as small as it was, right? And I seen something in something y'all something that y'all wrote on one of them videos, right, from that Salt Spoken page. And it was Salt Spoken that said it, and you said, just bring your whole mind for a minute. Don't side with us nor Dre. He teaches you have to be transparent before the world. This is what the Most High is doing to him until he acknowledges it was a small mistake that could have been fixed with my fault for not showing up as the leader I teach y'all to be. Whatever else they were saying. So what the Holy Ghost made stand out to me, right? And it goes along with what Mom said, was that part right there where y'all are saying that it what y'all how y'all truly feel about what y'all trying to make this, what y'all trying to mask this outlashing as, is that it was a small mistake. What y'all, if y'all feel like that's what y'all issue is, right? What y'all truly feel about it is that it was a small mistake. So like Moms is saying, so then it was, so if that is something you felt like was a small mistake, what was your real issue? Right? Because you can see that that your attempt is to mask what you really feeling behind you trying to say like you felt like Dre went about the courting process wrong. So that's the mask, right? That's what you trying to hide your real intentions behind, right? Your real motivation is being hidden behind the mask of, oh, they did this wrong. Because it's just like in the dream Dre had about Eddie hiding behind Naya, and as more and more comes out, it's like you are masking what you really feeling behind this that you trying to put out and publicize. Like, well, this is why I'm tripping. Nah, that's not why you tripping. That's why you telling the world that you're tripping. But your true intentions is somewhere, and it's gonna come out eventually. And we all know what it is. It's like a jealousy thing going on. It's like a shady thing going on. And it's like everybody coming up here speaking on and sharing dispositions and conversations that was being had with y'all behind closed doors. And most of us already knew that was who y'all were. Right? And we're giving you the grace to grow and conquer and overcome them demonic dispositions that you was holding on to internally, right? Because I always knew that there was an enemy in you towards me, right? That's not news to me. I seen it in every way you showed up to put me down. Any opportunity you had, it wasn't no love, no grace, no covering, no encouragement, only hate. And that's how you chose to operate here, right? And not just towards me, but towards the brothers as a whole, right? So that disposition manifesting is not a shock to everybody. And then the other thing I wanted to get at, just to go back to it, is the order, right? It's the way that it's you feeling like you could go about something in the way, any type of way, right? Because like we were speaking on, like we've already spoke on, there's too much room given for you to come and have a conversation, right? It's too much love. It's too much understanding. There's too much grace that is issued, that is given. It's too much of a beautiful environment for you to have felt like this was how you were going to go about what you feel like you may have had a disagreement with, right? So that's my whole thing. And then another thing, right, that y'all want to take with y'all, right? Be careful. It's like the loved one was saying, be careful when you feel the enemy trying to position you, because you can feel it, right? So you might have needed to be in them classes a little bit more than you was in them, right? Because you had something to say about the brothers that was in the classes, rewatching them, right? But you might have needed to be in them classes a little bit more, because I don't understand how you couldn't recognize the positioning against the Most High's providence. How could you not see that the enemy was trying to get you to take a position? And then it's like you feel like it's like this me disposition that you coming with, but not no God. Right? There's no reverence for the order, for the respect for the Most High God. It's how you felt. No, nothing in you to go about it, even though that's how you felt. Nothing in you inclining you to respect the Most High God. You keep trying to talk about Dre and and whatever you may have felt about Dre. There is order, right? So you felt like you was gonna take it upon yourself to do whatever it is, this lashing out and acting out that you doing, right? And you out of bounds. And that's all I got to say.
So I knew where this was going, Remnant. And when this started happening several weeks ago, I knew it. So the talk is that I'm too proud.
Right.
I'm too proud, right? He can't admit. I've already said a long time ago, I didn't get here through successes. I got here through failures. I've blown it real bad. I've been real transparent about all my faults, which is why I'm always very helpful with anybody else's.
Right.
But I knew where this was going when they took the position after that one March 4th with Tory, and I put that up in the class on my story today. So after that, things start being real funny, and so we have a family message board with all the family. And when I noticed something was going on March 19th, this is just to dispel the apology and all this stuff. I ain't did nothing. I was quick to apologize for whatever I've done. Right now, I think I owe about 5 push-ups. I think I let something slip like HOE earlier. I owe 5 push-ups because if you cuss over here, you got to be accountable. And so I owe them 5 push-ups. But they know who I am. But let me let you guys see, what date was that?
I don't got my glasses.
What date is that?
March 19th.
What date is that?
March 19th.
March 19th. Can the camera see it right here? Can it see it? Can you guys see on the phone?
No, go up to the camera. She's gonna tell you where to go up or down.
They can't see it.
Move it down a little bit. Up a little
Honey,
bit.
are you even looking at the screen on your TV? I mean, on your phone?
Yeah, I can see it.
Right there?
You can't see it now. Right?
Cause it's the light.
Go down.
Down just a little bit.
Well, anyway, can you see
Right
it?
there, no. You go up, I'm gonna tell you, move up to the camera.
Closer
All
to the
way
camera,
like you
closer.
were. Now move down just a little bit more. Right there now, right there.
What does it say?
But it's blurry.
Anyway, I tried to show you, March 19th. When I recognized what was going on, this is what I wrote the family chat. To dispel all this apology, they hiding behind Naya, right? Just like the dream. But just dispel all this apology, he's too proud to apologize or whatever. So this is what I wrote. I said, okay, I see I have to address this. All these subliminals, because they was already sending stuff out in the internet. I said, all these subliminals coming. Okay, if anyone has something to get off their chest, please do so. If you think I am in error about something, okay. I have made many mistakes in my life, so it's possible. I seen you, Eddie, post pics of women half naked with a statement about posting our women half naked to the world saying we protecting their virtue. I was wondering why you were posting those pics. Even Dove came to me asking, well, maybe you were saying when Naya and I were in Cancun and she was in her bathing suit, well, it was a place appropriate in my opinion. Sorry if I offended anyone. Also, about the courting, when the Most High gave me the dream about Naya and I just moved the only way I knew how. And if anyone feels I did them wrong, or if I offended anyone, please forgive me and don't lay it to my heart. I believe if a man operates in this remnant in any way with a woman that expresses interest, his mind should be on marriage. Okay, now let me say, if anyone does not trust my leadership at this point, my counsel at this point, my direction at this point, and my information at this point, I love you dearly, and you have that choice always. Does that sound like me? Do you remember that, Manaz? Do you remember that, Manaz?
Yes, sir. I was there. I seen, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's in our family chat. And they had nothing to say to it. Yeah, they didn't respond.
They never responded. So to this, they just left the chat. Right. They weren't responding. That's just to dispel what they're trying to sell to the world, that I'm so prideful, I won't say sorry, and all that. These are the receipts that we always have. If I have offended any one of you, I apologize. Amen.
You know, there's so much to talk about. It's so much to talk about. So many chats, so many posts, so many videos, so many lies, so many rumors. You know, they didn't pull things out my past. I was gonna get into that, but you know,
Yeah, they throwing stuff. I'm like, that's lame. Whatever.
yeah, all the lame stuff. You guys and all that stuff there. You know, the whole thing is that I've even had people message me, so I want to stay on subject specifically. I'll address some of that other stuff in some videos or some lives later. But the thing here is that what's going on within the remnant, right? See, it's been given to us to know that the day and age that we in, that the weapons that we possess now are not physical or carnal, that they're spiritual weapons of warfare, right? We're here to destroy all sophisticated arguments. And so this is, what is it, boss? Word warfare. It's word warfare. And what people fail to realize is I was never on social media until recently. You know, I had some clothing line page stuff, never had a picture of myself on there just till a couple of years ago. You know, I was in the streets and I always stayed out the way. You know, I shut down my life at one point to raise a godbrother and a nephew. One of them didn't appreciate it. He's out there on a rant like a scorned little girl. My nephew, I don't think that it wasn't that he didn't appreciate it. He just got in trouble. He got in trouble and he didn't correct himself, and I sent him back to his mom. But he always had more appreciation than my godbrother. Right? I've had a lot of phases all throughout my life. Right? Different women, different places. I was always able to help a lot of people. Right? I've had my ex even say that I've had people pimp me. Right? And if that's the case, I guess I'd have been pimped on all over the place because I didn't help a lot of people in my life. I didn't help my family, my uncle, my dad, my mom. I didn't help their families. I guess I was just getting turned out, left and right. I was getting sent, if that's the case, my whole life, right? And so here we are now, right? And I'm saying this to say that I'm in a position that the Most High called me to, right? And it hasn't been an easy position because this position has required me to go through and suffer financial strain, right? Like a lot of us. For me, it's a little different than it is for others, right? Because I know exactly what to do to stop that strain right now. I can stop it right now. I don't have to go through this financial stuff, these financial issues, the hardship. I can go make something happen right now. I can drop this mic, walk out that door, and change my circumstances tonight. I have all the information to do so. But the restraint that I have to show up to be pleasing to my God outweighs any financial need that I might have in this moment. Right? I don't care what it is I have to go through. I know what he called me to do. I didn't sacrifice anything. I only gave him back what he gave me in the first place, what he made possible for me to have. It wasn't even a second thought. A revelation came in a class. I think the class ended maybe but 2 minutes, and one of my nephews called me and said, "What does that mean?" I said, "Man, you know what that means. You know what that means." He said, "Yeah, I know what it means." It was a wrap. It was a wrap. The Most High said, "Come out the mud." I heard my lady say, when some of y'all was raising the burbs, we come out the mud for real, And through our character, through how we operated, right, and the covering that we still had, even in the mud, we was able to produce things for our children to have better lives, right? I didn't have a horrible life growing up. My father and my mother were also in the mud, and they produced a better life for me than what they had. And I'm very grateful for them for doing that. And in turn, I was able to produce an even better life for my kids. And I didn't want to get in the streets. I didn't want to get in the mud. They didn't want me there, right? But it happened. And I was good at what I did in every area. We have this weird thought, not we, the Black culture has this weird thought process that since we got it out the mud, our kids got to get it out the mud, right? Which defeats the purpose. That defeats the purpose of you going through all the trials and tribulations and strain and hustle and grind just to turn around and have your kids have to go through it. And your excuse is because they got to know how to appreciate it. I don't want them to know how to appreciate indoctrination. I don't want them to learn to appreciate assimilation. There's a running joke with my kids right now. They be talking about, we've been in the hood, right? I just be laughing at them. They've been in the hood for a family funeral or something, right? Maybe a family gathering, maybe a family reunion or something is about the closest they done came to being in the hood. We go, we visit, we leave and go back to our nice hotel if we're in town visiting, or to our side of town, whatever that looks like. And so you have to understand that every man, every woman that's up here now is up here because the Most High called them out the mud, out of the assimilation, out of the indoctrination, to grasp and hold on to their original culture and their original mind of knowing who we are and where we come from. See, it's a lot of people out there in this chat that have no clue who they are. They think that we're up here in a cult of Israelites, not realizing that we're not Israelites because we call ourselves Israelites. We're Israelites because it runs through our blood. We are literally descendants of the 12 tribes because of our bloodlines. We couldn't deny it if we wanted to. That's just what it is. What makes us so different is the scripture says only a remnant will be saved. Even though my descendants are as numerous as the sands of the sea, only a remnant will be saved, right? And so in that, we expect for falls to take place. My uncle just got up here and said, I didn't get here for my successes. I got here through my failures. And knowing this, we have to understand that we're going to meet people that come out of the indoctrination that the enemy still has a tight grasp on. And we know it when they come, but we don't treat them any different, any less than. We show up with love. We lead beyond our own pain, because don't get it twisted. We see you from afar. They say another fisherman can spot another fisherman from afar. Coming out these streets, coming out this mud, we know what suckers look like. We know what marks look like. We know what men look like. We know what women look like. We know what real ones and fake ones look like. But over here, because the Most High has called each man and each woman here, and we are showing up and operating and dealing with them and from that position. We are meeting them where they have chosen to step up and rise to the occasion to be pleasing to their God. Even if they fall short, even if they don't understand the way that we understand, that's okay. We're going to love you all the way there. We're going to fight for you all the way there. We're going to ride for you, stand side to side with you, back to back with you all the way there. Right? Yes, you will. Because you will fall short. Because I've fallen short. He's given me more grace than all y'all put together watching this live, probably. And I appreciate and love him for it, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. But what I do know is in 2 Corinthians 4, 3-6, it reads, but even if our gospel is in some sense hidden behind a veil, it is hidden only to those who are perishing. So you might have been here and you might have chosen to take the position of an adversary, and you can't see your own demise before you, but it's only because you're perishing. It's been hidden from you because you're perishing. It goes on to say, among them, the God of this world, Satan, has blinded the minds of the unbelieving to prevent them from seeing the illuminating light of the gospel, the glory of Yahushua, who is the image of Yah. So not only has it been hidden from you, but your God of this world, the enemy, Satan, has blinded you from the light of it. So even if there's a little crack, even the door cracks open a little bit just for you to see the light, he blinded you from it. You're going to stay over there. This is no easy fall. And see, I can compare this to things I've gone through in the streets, right? Let's just make it relatable. So in the streets, I had women in my life, and I would build them up every area of their life. Home, cars, credit, everything, investments, everything across the board, right? I would teach them how to do everything they need to do to be beyond successful in life, right? If one of them decided that they didn't want to be with me anymore, I would let them take those things and go. You can have the house, you can have the cars, everything and go. Now, for a lot of people in the game, that's taboo. Guys are greedy, they want to take that stuff with them. I don't care. It's yours. You work for it. I appreciate everything that you did in my life. This is all yours. And what they can't see is if we're coming to an ending, it's because something has gone wrong in the relationship. And I've said many times before, I'd rather die before I leave room for another man to come in here and do what I did better than me. And so with that being said, they usually end up taking a fall. The only problem is because the mountain they've been placed on, the pedestal they've been placed on, because I put them on a pedestal, right? Why would I not? Why would I not put somebody I love and care about on the pedestal as high as I possibly can, especially if they put me on one? But they don't realize that's a long fall from way up there. It takes a while. Sometimes they don't hit rock bottom for years. It's a slow process, right? But it's an egregious process. And so looking over here in this information, when somebody takes a position after being here for so long, like Eddie has, when they take that fall, like Tori has, like Elijah has, it's a slow process. The enemy wears you out left and right. And he starts by stripping away your spirit and your mind, by making you suffer that spiritual death. Now, you think that a person would intentionally suffer a spiritual death if they could see it? I wouldn't. If I could see it coming, I could stop it right away, be all over it. I don't want to go through that. But the problem is you can't see it. You can't see it. It creeps up on you like a thief in the night, coming to steal, kill, and destroy. And so what that thing is spreading through your life like molasses, before you know it, the enemy has engulfed you in every single area. You're his. He's doing his will with you. He's tossing you to and fro. And you have no idea how crazy you look out here doing his will. See, we're not up here elevating ourselves. Because as it continues to read in 2 Corinthians 4 or 5, it says, "For we do not preach ourselves, but Yahushua is Lord, and ourselves merely as your bondservants for Yahushua's sake. For Yah who said, 'Let light shine out of darkness,' is the one who has shown in our hearts to give us the light of knowledge of the glory and majesty of Yah, clearly revealed in the face of Yahushua." Light out of darkness. All of us come out of some dark places in life. All of us believed. All of us stood. All of us got back up after every single fall. The problem is most of you can't even fall. There's nothing for you to fall from. Y'all already down out there in the world. Everything's all bad. Yeah, you got a job. Might have a car, might have a nice house. Might have a bad little chick or a handsome man. But what that inside look like? Everything here is from the inside out. And y'all sitting up there looking at everything on the outside, listening to everything on the outside, you couldn't even possibly stop to look within an individual to see where they at. See, the reason I want to let everybody go first is because it took me a long time to get here, right? To watch somebody talk about my ones and just be poised. I've watched Elijah and Tori and Eddie and others talk about Kavase and his drinking problem he used to have. Key word, used to have.
He used to have it good too.
You know, I saw him. You know what I'm saying? Say it again.
He used to have it good too.
You know, but I've watched him grow. I watched him put that thing all the way down and pick up his mantle, his full mantle of fatherhood. Has he been perfect in it? No. We've had some back and forths about that. I'm not a perfect father, nor have I ever been a perfect father. But the whole goal here is to be a better man today than we were yesterday, and a better man tomorrow than we are today. And that goes for the women too. Everyone is always striving for excellence. The perfection is your ability to operate in excellence, to make a perfect effort to be excellent in everything that you do. And y'all around there looking real bummy, real trashy. You had the mantle, but it was too heavy. It was too heavy. You couldn't even hold it up. That's why we could see you the whole time. What he say? What Unc say? You pull the blanket up and your feet stick out, and you cover your feet and your head stick out, right? It's true. You can never cover yourself completely because this thing carries too much weight. And so what you do when you finally in a position after there's no more turning and looking past your discrepancies, when the Most High is moving into that next position for everyone to be able to see, for everyone to have that covering, and he's working things out inside of you, and you end up in a circle, you run. I watched Eddie in the circle. I watched him almost take accountability. Almost. The cold part was Elijah really wasn't even in the circle. Eddie was. But Elijah decided to jump in there and say something. Oh, he tried, and he said it with confidence too. Elijah, I love you to death, but bruh, dealing with the kind of men over here, that little trick spirit, that little trick culture, that just won't fly around here, man. That won't fly around here, man. I thought you was gonna be sharper than that. I thought you would be sharper than that, man. I look at your brother here, man, and I thought you was gonna be way sharper. And I had such high hopes for you, man. I did. And I can say it was disappointing. I gave you something. Just a little bit, expectation. It was mine to give, and I gave it. And that was disappointing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I get it. My dad showed me great things growing up. He did. But once he took a position against my God without him even realizing it, I had to let it go. I love my father to death. Me and my father weren't talking. We're not talking now. And he had got in trouble. He don't even know that my attorney called me because he saw his name in the roster in jail. I had my attorney check on him, even though we wasn't talking. Had to make sure he was cool. As soon as everything was cool and I made sure it was cool, and I made a phone call and I found out that he was out. All right, cool. I had nothing else to say. See, don't get it twisted. Just because we have to take a stand on principle and cut an individual off doesn't mean the love gets cut off. That's just not how we operate. That might be how you operate, but we don't get down like that around here. We just love you from all the way over there. And if we got to go through the pain or whatever you're doing, we'll go through the pain of it. And if we got to come through and check you with a sword, we'll do that too. If you want to show up like that little boy, that little girl that need that belt, we got a room full of them. Right? Might change it to belt warfare. Right? Because there's no way that you come over here, learn the lingo, get down with this information, operate and talk about the accountability, try to check other people, put other people in circles, always point a finger at somebody else, and then run, not just that, but run from the accountability and then get out there and turn around and talk mess from over there. You're going to stand there and throw rocks from a glass house. How much more of a little girl could you be? And I'm not talking to Tori. I'm talking to Elijah and Eddie.
Tori the man.
What was that?
Tori the man. That's the leader. The leader.
I'm talking to Elijah and Eddie, right? I know what you did last night, Eddie. I know what you did. I know what you did, bro. You ain't slick. You know what I'm saying? It's okay though, man. You know, I got kids. You know, they do little bad stuff like that too. Not yet, but I'm sure they will. That's what kids do. It's all right though, man. We love you. Just don't do it again. We're going to keep pressing over here and keep operating the way that our God requires us to. We have a requirement here. Not because Unc says so, not because Auntie says so, not because my loved one says so next to me, but because my God says so. He's requiring something out of me every day to show up and operate and keep pressing forward to be pleasing to him. And I'll say it again, like Unc said, I didn't get here from my successes. I got here through my failures. I've made plenty of mistakes. I've done plenty of wrongs. but I continuously step up and stand up to be the man that the Most High requires me to be pleasing to him, or I wouldn't be sitting here today. I would not have been fit to be called for this assignment. There's just no way. We have another loved one, a good friend of Unc's. His name's Dre too, right? We got two Dre's, right? Only one Dre, but we got two of them. And Unc told me that he was telling him something the other day about, me and Unc been riding for so long. He's like, man, D, man, that's your guy. Yeah. Because he opened up my life to have the relationship that I got with the Most High. And I'm forever indebted to him for that. Right? I'm forever indebted to him that, because you can never repay the first favor. He didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that. Do you know how many people that he's talked to over the years, how many times I've seen him suffer disappointment, how many times I've heard about disappointment that he suffered before, talking to me about this information? He could just say, man, I'm done, man. I don't want no more disappointment in my life. But he put the time and the effort and the energy in. It wasn't about no ism or none of that. It was just about this information to be a man of character and principle, to be pleasing to my God. My dad taught me phenomenal foundational things about manhood. He did. But all of it was for street survival. And there was emotionalism mixed in there. Right? Go do something because somebody done tried you or did something to you, and you got to go get up on them and check them and do something to them. And it's emotional. And I had to overcome that. My mother has gone above and beyond and done things in my life for me that most mothers never will do in their kids' lives. And I appreciate and love her for that too. You know what I'm saying? But my aunt has showed me another side. I recently just heard, and have heard this numerous times, people talk about my aunt because she left her kids to follow my uncle, right? She just did what her God told her to do. How many times? See, this is the problem with y'all squares out there, because y'all read this book and you don't realize that this is a history book for those who come out the bloodline. How many times all throughout the scripture has somebody been called away from their home, away from their family, away from their wife, away from their kids, away from their husband, to go on an assignment for what God told them to do, to leave their land, to pick up and leave with everything on foot and move when he said move? The father of the faith, Abraham, started the faith by moving when the Most High told him to move. And all y'all can do is sit around on the other side of this classroom, on the other side of this camera, and in this chat and talk mess. No movement, no motion, just bump your gums. That's it. Why? Because the Most High bless you with lips. That's all you're doing. You ain't got no motion at all. You come in here trying to get clout off of this right here. You're going to get some clout. I promise you that. You're going to be famous. You can rest assured that. You're just not going to be famous the way you want to be. You're not going to be famous the way you want to be. My loved one just handed me Matthew 19, 29 through 30. And everyone, this is good. And everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or fathers or mothers or children or farms for my sake, whose sake? His sake, will receive many times as much, and will inherit eternal life. But many who are first in this world will be last in the world to come, and the last will be first. These are prophecies that have to be fulfilled. See, I heard Eddie say that the enemy can't lie. His name is the father of lies. His name is the father of lies. You got to be a square. His name is literally the father of lies. We have been last for hundreds of years. And those who have been first will be last. And those who have been last will be first. because we put nothing between us, nothing before our God. We show ourselves broken. We'll take ridicule. We'll take hate. We'll take all the stuff that you have to say, slander and all that. But once you come up here talking about these babies, once you come talking about our kids, once you come talking about our women, it's a problem. It's a problem. Because us as men before our God have a duty to stand in the gap between the enemy and our household. And that's exactly what we'll do. Do not get it twisted at all. If you want to let the enemy show up and come against us, fine, cool, stay out the way. But if you want to participate with him, you'll get it too. You will get it too. And you best believe everyone in here is fully equipped, right? In here to give you everything that you need. Just a word is all it takes. Just a word is all it takes. But what is it that might be too heavy for y'all? Y'all gonna have to get in class to understand that one. Y'all gonna have to really, these Wednesday nights ain't gonna be enough for you to understand that just a word going out will cause you to have problems. Eddie, I love you, man. I do. But you done lost your mind. You done really lost your mind. I'm thankful to the Most High for where he got me out now, because I'd be doing about 1 million push-ups up here. Right? Just being accountable in something that seems so small and so funny to people about watching your mouth. Just watching your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Everybody here used to cuss. Trust me, we got all the worldly words that you need. And we still listen to all the music too, right? Because I don't care what you do. You can stop listening to the music. You can stop eating pork. You can stop doing all the things that they tell you to stop doing to be pleasing to your God. But if you don't show up in submission, obedience to your God, don't none of that matter. You can pray, you can fast, you can speak in tongues. None of that matters. All of it will be counted as garbage. You will be counted as garbage. And best believe, we know how to take out the trash. We know how to take out the trash. So go on ahead, you know what I'm saying, and find out who the garbage man is tonight if you want to. Go on ahead. Y'all got any problems being garbage men? Huh? I'm with all of that. All of that. Y'all can hop in the chat, or what's the address? 2275. Yeah. Y'all know the address online. Eddie been posting it everywhere. We right here. We right here. I'm gonna let one of the loved ones go, but we right here every Wednesday, man.
Oh, you are still in the loved one.
Go ahead.
Hand it to me after you
All right, so what I wanted to talk about, basically mostly I'm gonna talk about, the situation with Eddie or whatever, and my experience on it. So when I wasn't aware of how that Eddie was an informant when he first came in, right? we're just gonna cut chase really. So because the thing is that I don't know everything. I knew that COINTELPRO was gonna come, but I didn't know it was gonna come like that. So now when I walk through everything leading up to this point, I could see why Dre operated the certain way and allowed Eddie to be in the position that he was, because he's seen it from the very beginning. And Most High allowed him primarily the Most High allowed him to be here to test the information in us.
That's right.
And so, the whole time as he's doing what he's doing, as I'm looking back now and I'm reflecting on everything, I'm seeing how he operated, and all he really did was elevate me. Like, at least my experience, what God did for me in the experience is that he elevated me in seeing how he operated firsthand, because now I could reflect in it and say, okay, this is what you've been doing. You plant seeds of doubt here. You might go over here and say something you might criticize me and then say something about Jay to see if I can jump in and try to go against my brother here. Or you might come and say, well, we might start our own group on this side. And then even with the Detroit stuff, you might say, well, Jay from the east side of Detroit, no, Jay from the west side of Detroit, but I'm from the east side. And you just try to bring all that, that separation and all that stuff. And then even with me, you were playing, because there were things I'm saying now, I'm like, I remember we was in the cave or whatever, and I remember what he said to me directly. He might have just put it out there, but he said, some people might be coming to Seattle because they run away from something. I was like, well, I wonder why you said that. But I was like, I brushed it off because we show up with love. So even though you might be battling with something, I just didn't know you was battling being, an underhanded individual, right? I wasn't aware of that. And so I just wanted to touch on those experiences. But then what I realized was the Most High ain't gonna tell you everything. He gonna allow you to go through the process. You're gonna get tested because he gonna test what he loves. You're gonna come with the thing. Well, he gonna come with what he come with. Give me a second. I gotta get it together. Which goes to show you that when you submitted and obedient, you're not going to be privy to everything that the enemy's doing, but you understand that the information has the capacity to be anything. And so, and through those experiences, then you can reflect back and say, well, now I have an idea about the enemy and how he operates, because the enemy doesn't have any new tricks. He's not going to come with anything different than what he's coming. So it's going to elevate me to when the real thing comes, because you were just a testing ground for what we have moving in the future. I was just hoping, the Most High was really hoping that you would probably, but he probably, the relief doctrine would sway you, but that wasn't ultimately what it was. And yeah, gave him a chance. Hold on. Hold on, forgive me, guys. So what I wanted to speak about is that after all of it was done, because while you were here, I didn't know. So when I didn't know, I really had the love for you when you was here. And so the test after that was dealing with the bitterness of everything, how you operated underhandedly, and me finding out that you was really this underhanded individual, and how to overcome it, because I have to still lead beyond my pain and say, well, even though you showed up like this, I'm gonna still show up in the love for you, even though you showed up like this. And the only reason why that was given to you is because I had expectations that you would show up in this information, right? But all in all, it's really just been an experience and seeing how and observing the things that the Most High wants me to learn, and see what to pick up on, and what some of the things that people do when they get jealous, how they operate when they yeah, I'm gonna just leave it there because yeah, it's not coming out right now.
It came out. Came out.
So, I really wanted to elevate the consciousness that the Most High has bestowed to me through the Holy Ghost, because of, I know the experience that I had dealing with, Eddie, and coming into the information, you know what I'm saying? I had ways that I may have operated and stuff like that, but we know in this information, we are to operate in love. You know what I'm saying? That's how we're supposed to operate to anybody. And so, even early on, I started to call Eddie, I was like, I was calling him OG, you know what I'm saying? Because that's where I'm from, we call elders at, you know what I'm saying? That's their respect that we offer to, older individuals. And even early on, before knowing what I know about him now, it was little things that, like Brandon was saying too, he would try to plant things, and say certain things. Like I remember one time specifically, very specifically, he told me, he was like, why you always talking about some class? Like, why you always talking about what you got from some class? And I'm like, this the information. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do we subscribe to? What is the point of us watching these classes and getting the information to develop? So that was something that always stuck with me. That right there, I'm like, why would you say that? And as time progressed, and even before the information, I would be a very reactionary person. And you can say we used to butt heads and stuff like that pretty often. And I just got to a certain point where I began to respond, and I react to what he was saying. And just as time goes on and we had a jump out here, I noticed, more things he'll try to plan. I even allowed him to come to my crib and stuff like that. And little things he'll try to plant, these doctrines that he'll try to place, you know what I'm saying, on loved ones, and try to share this with you and stuff like that. And it was like that disposition of, like Drea said before, a lot of black men grow up and want to be a white man. You know what I'm saying? And it was a lot of those things he'll try to plant and have you operate in a certain disposition. But like in information, we know, we come as who you are, but it was a disposition of, that street guy, that street cat and stuff like that. You didn't have to come into the information with that disposition. You know what I'm saying? But that's what you have instilled and showed in front of your children and stuff all your life. You know what I'm saying? And I get it because, my mom always told me, you tell one lie, you got to tell two. So you got to keep this up. You got to hold this up and continue to operate in that. You know what I'm saying? And, this information can change anybody for the better. It can improve anyone, and the Most High had gave you that time to figure that out and then get on top of those things that, you wanted to elevate and operate in towards everyone here. You know what I'm saying? And I know that I always made sure, because your disposition is imperative. You know what I'm saying? And I always made sure that I continue to look up and know how I was showing up to the Most High, regardless of how you was operating and how you still continuing to operate even after, you choosing to be who you are, you know what I'm saying, with your click, so it's just knowing that I have grown, and it's all we done grown. We done had conversations. We done been at it. Me and Kavasi used to be at it and stuff like that. And to know where we done grown to and where we continue to push and still keep going. Cause like Dre was saying a couple weeks ago, we in it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever our ancestors was going through in our history book, we are living that in real time. We are experiencing these people falling off, this core disposition, all this type of stuff. We are experiencing that right now. You know what I'm saying? And I had to really get to a point to where nothing surprises me. You know what I'm saying? I really had to get to that point in my consciousness, because people gonna continue to fall off. You know what I'm saying? And it's only the remnant will survive. You know what I'm saying? And something else I wanted to say. What was I trying to say? Oh yeah. And another thing, when like I was saying earlier, those things that try to be planted and stuff like that, even the that party spirit, that man, that was so heavily, I remember, we was that whole thing about Miami, we coming down there tripping on us about the boat and all that stuff like that, and it just, that disposition continued to get bigger and bigger, even up to the point to where, we out here having this Houston conference, you know what I'm saying? And loved ones getting to the point to where they deciding to just leave, you know what I'm saying, and operate and go do what they want to do, you know. And even when we had the circle, it was like like D was saying, it wasn't no accountability taken. You know what I'm saying? It was still elevated. That Longhorns and that little, you know, that little woman that Elijah was so focused on and locked in on and elevating it, even after that circle, you know, still elevating it, you know, and it was still this and that. And it's just like I knew then that was, you know, I was like, oh yeah, it's it right there. And even when, you know, before that, I never tried to, even when we were peeping things and we had conversations, and I never really said much. And after Houston, when we was like the next morning after that whole Houston thing happened, you know, I was quiet about the conversation that was being had. And you know, I had a dream, and this what I got in a dream. It was in a dream, Dre was saying to me, you have to understand, Eddie has been in this information for only so long. The street mentality outweighs how he operates towards me. You know what I'm saying? So just the Most High continuing to show what this individual is operating in, and we just continue to see the fall. And you know, my last response to that individual, Eddie, you know, I said, you know, with all this stuff that's being posted on social media and all that, you know, you can tell people why you in Seattle and stuff like that. You can make up whatever lie you want to add to that, but you know why you came to Seattle, and you know that, you know, you came all the way out here just to sit on the couch, you know what I'm saying, and lose everything that you ever had in your life, man. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, I blessings to you. It's all love. Still love you, man. But yeah, I'm in with that.
I'm not sure, but let me just say this real quick because it's getting late. Anyway, I'm a very strategic person, learned to be that way. I was very strategic when we did police accountability. A lot of people are wondering why we're spending so much time. Well, you have to understand, well, you might not understand, but let me explain it to you. Few things. The first thing is when you have to, you remember that old song? Some of you are much too young, but Kenny Rogers says you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. In other words, know when the balance is necessary. You know, the scripture says it kind of like there's a time of peace, a time of war, a time to give, a time to receive, and yada, yada, yada. So me knowing these powerful men and women in the remnant, I understood there needed to be a release from them. A release from them. Now, remember, I said I'm very strategic. When Eddie opened up the door and began to attack for over 3 weeks to a month before I threw any punch, I was aware that the Most High God, maybe you're not, but I was aware that nothing just happens to happen. That if this is going on is because the Holy Spirit has allowed this environment. I talked about 413, and I thought 413, even though in the dream that I had, I was specifically told that it would be something that freed me. Well, I was freed 413 by understanding that I had men that can think like me. There's no amount of money that could top that, especially when you're building an organization, right? And then I said that it would be shown all over. Well, what do you think is going on right now? There's not been as much tension on the remnant since Naya and I got together initially. Now there's a lot of attention on the remnant because the Most High wanted the remnant to showcase how you deal with conflict resolution, right? So when I was doing police accountability, I realized that the Black community kept losing against the system because there's something that the system utilizes that our community is not prepped for. And it's called the war of attrition. Like when I first started police accountability, there was a whole bunch of our people that started. But oh, that grinding war of attrition that the system knows they could use easily against Black folks, because Black folks is used to entertainment. They could do the entertainment all the time, but when it comes down to the grit, Stumped down in the mud, stand fast, unmovable. It ain't fun. And oh, when the fun starts going out, oh, that war of attrition begin to wear people down. I'm tired. Why we keep doing this, that war of attrition. You're not present consciously how to deal with the system. And that's why we always lose. We get in our feelings and I'm tired because it ain't fun. It ain't supposed to be fun. It ain't supposed to be fun, right? I'm here for the duration. Sink or swim. If it costs me my life, let's go. When it's uncomfortable. The scripture says it like that. Be constant in season, out of season, when it's convenient, when it's not convenient. Stay down. My father used to say, stay down. But he used to say, bring the game, son. Bring the game, son. So when I was doing police accountability, I seen all the people, they were in an uproar about the police killings and they're killing people. And oh, they all was there ready to ride. Oh, but that war of attrition wore them down. There might have been 100 or 200, and it dwindled down to a handful. A handful. Yep. And we had to build it back through the receipts. So I'm saying to you, you have to know what you're dealing with. Eddie is just an exercise. You guys think that we are putting attention on Eddie. You don't know warfare. I'm utilizing him. I always say, I don't speak words, I use them. So let me show you what you haven't seen. Eddie opened up the door for me to define him publicly for the world to see his face as the confidential informant that he is. As a child, a man that went, as my wife said, seeing a 14-year-old with her backpack and decided to go sex her, to impregnate her. So what he thought is his time for attention. Eating up all the attention. Oh, pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. He opened the door for me to define him. That's strategic. That's how far ahead I am. So while you're getting tired and wondering, why do you keep putting all the attention on Eddie? I'm just continuing to publicly define him for who he is. I'm a bad man!
Yeah, now I gotta follow up. All praises, man. Shout out Mom Dukes, man. Miss you.
Let me say one thing. Happy birthday, baby girl. It's Nevaeh's birthday that my daughter turned 13. Love you, baby girl.
So I'll be brief. I don't have too many experiences with Eddie, but
He like you.
he does, right? Like a little too much. You know what I'm saying? Dre said something to me earlier. It was like, yeah, I'm the coolest, you know. I can dress well. He be watching me, like,
Be careful.
yeah, man, he waiting for me to come through the door and all this type of goofy stuff. Whatever. Dang.
YouTube?
Wow. Yeah, man, just through my observation, like Keith said, I always respected my elders and I called them OGs as well. And I would always address them as such. But, you know, through my observation, he just never sat right with me, right? I never heard him speak highly. Don't laugh, Oz. I never heard him speak highly of the information. Like it was always something about the Mars, something about 22, something about Islam. I never heard him speak the language, walk like us, talk like us, pants sagging, belt loose. You just trash, man. And to voice his opinions about the brothers and how they show up, how they carry themselves, how they deal with women. Like I didn't get it, man. It just didn't make sense, right? And there's a saying in the world: keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Right? Exactly, right? So Dre know what's going on, right? I'm gonna hit y'all with a little scripture. Sirach 6, verse 13. It says, stay away from your enemies and be on guard against your friends. In the remnant, there's a standard, there are requirements, and we all know submission and obedience is the highest. There's also accountability, integrity, respect for one another, honor and dignity, right? And we show up this way to each other every day, even if there's a disagreement. We know how to sit it down and chop it up. And just his engagement, I told some of the brothers, this is the enemy's greatest work. And the display and the demonstration that's before us is the Holy Ghost showing us how to engage with the enemy in human form, right? Because a lot of this is physical and carnal, but we know what we really up against. We know how the enemy play. We know the schemes. We know his tricks. And he wanted to use one of our loved ones, one of our brothers, somebody we broke bread with, somebody we shared meals with, shared money with. I remember sending money to Eddie for something he needed, and just to see the change, the shift, as if he was always a snake, it just for him to show up the way he did, right? The scripture continues, a loyal friend is like a safe shelter. Find one, and you have found a treasure. Nothing else is as valuable. There is no way of putting a price on it. In the remnant, manhood is priceless. You can't come over here and buy this. Like either you show up or you're not, right? A loyal friend is like medicine that keeps you in good health. Only those who fear the Lord can find such a friend. And here we all fear the Most High. We are all co-heirs in Yahweh Shai. We are all brothers. We conquer and govern as one. And another thing I saw Eddie do, when we would have our men's night, he would sit in the crowd a lot and pick and point and run to Tory, run to Elijah. And it's like, bro, what you doing? Like I'm a lot like D. I might want to use some choice words, but I've been delivered, right? Yeah, I ain't.
Spell it with a star.
No, I ain't even gonna go that route, man. Y'all know where I'm coming from, right? Scripture continues. A person who fears the Lord can make real friendships because he will treat his friends as he does himself. We all love ourselves and we all love one another, right? It is the standard and a requirement, and some people just can't live up to that, right? Eddie, Elijah, Tori, they weren't able to live up to this standard, man, and what we live, breathe, and walk and talk every day. Let me hit y'all with something else, and then I'm gonna close. Y'all bear with me. We're gonna stay in Sirach, verse 20. Undisciplined people find wisdom's demands too hard and don't have enough determination to meet them. Exactly what I just said. you unqualified, man, and you couldn't withstand the test to show up as a remnant man. Like it's really that simple to throw shade, throw dirt, talk about your daughter, talk about your son, children that you brought into this world. You a piece of you know what. You the lowest form of man I've ever seen. It's just hard. I ain't your friend. Yeah, I don't like you, right? You know what I'm saying? I felt some kind of way when you was praising me in the video, man. The guys in the chat. Trying to knock this remnant. Stop it. The guys in the chat like, hey, man, Thorough ain't saying nothing, man. Maybe Eddie can knock him. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, man. Y'all play the game, man. I'm quiet, but I know how to defend myself, man. I ain't how I'm remnant and I'm staying at, man. It ain't nothing to change, right? Yeah, it continues. Her requirements are a burden, heavier than they are willing to bear, and they quickly lay them aside. One more. I've always heard stories about people falling off, D talking to somebody, watching them get the information, fall off, Dre talk to somebody. And in here in the remnant, we've seen brothers fall off as well, right? But scripture says, Matthew 24, 10 through 13, at that time, many will be offended and repelled by their association with me and will fall away from the one whom they should trust. But from my understanding, Eddie trusts Dre like his right-hand man. God told him he was going to walk with the one or walk beside the one, not behind the one, or however he put it, right? There was some disdain just in that, disposition of his, right? And with his own insecurities, he allowed an apology to move his disposition towards the Most High. Scripture continues, and will betray one another, handing over believers to their prosecutors, and will hate one another. Many false prophets will appear and mislead many, like what Eddie's doing right now. Got a little podcast, a little YouTube, trying to pull in the masses, turn them or make them look at us like we the bad guys or something like that, man, when he was just over here, right? Because lawlessness is increased, the love of the Most High, the love of most people will grow cold, but the one who endures and bears up under suffering to the end will be saved. This scripture just saying that in the end of times, people gonna fall off. We get to witness it, the people on the YouTube get to witness it, and it's just a beautiful display, and it's all documented. This is something that's going on, and we get to work it out. We get to engage with the enemy face to face, and it's been a beautiful experience, man, and that's all I have to say.
You got this. You guys are stuck. Yeah, you can have that. Sit here. One of the hardest things in the world is having pure love for your father. I respect the love of a father. And before I threw any punch, and they can attest to this, over weeks and weeks, 3 weeks to a month, I would talk to each of them, and I would tell them the only reason why I'm holding back and not punching back has nothing to do with your father. It has everything to do with both of you two. Because I love them enough to let them see my patience and all those them incoming blows and derogatory statements and ugly stuff. So I could take it. And I did. And every move that I made before I made it, I would show them what I wanted to do. I would explain to them, listen, this is what's happening. And then over a period of time, 3 weeks to a month, they was like, well, you a man, and I understand how you could feel. You've been extremely patient. They seen me reaching out to Eddie constantly, sending messages, telling Eddie, listen, man, I don't want to punch back. We don't have to go there, man. You know, we could talk about it or whatever. They seen me making the effort to reach out to their father over and over again without any response back. I don't want you to think that I minimize the love of family. I elevate the love of family, which is why I constantly told both of them, as you've heard me say before, I'm not saying you guys will do it. I'm just letting you know my position. You can't disrespect your father. I don't care what he says to me. I don't care what he does. I am telling you, it is unacceptable for you to disrespect your father. You speak to him in truth. You side with the truth. It ain't about siding with me, siding with him. You're going to have to answer to God for yourself. So you're going to have to side with the truth without any disrespect. And I just wanted to take the time out before we left to let you know how difficult and hard it is for them who love their father, love their brother, and love their sister and their mom. You don't think that we've been in communication with moms? I have more understanding for Victoria than any one of them. I have more understanding for Victoria for any one of them, you know? And I just want to say that Victoria didn't cross a line like Eddie did. Elijah didn't, and Tori didn't. But if you side with your father, because I know some of you know that he was an informant. I know that you know because he told you that he told on his connect. And you've sided with that because you loved him. Well, years ago in the 80s, I remember a family of informants out in Washington. The whole family was informants. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you how fair I am. Where's Dove? Oh, she must have. Dove, come here real quick because the light's going to turn off. Before we end. Let me tell you something, how sharp and perceptive I am. From the first time, Eddie, that you came to this remnant, when you got here, what did I tell you, Dove?
You said, wife, I know that Eddie is a CI.
I said, I believe he is.
I believe he's a confidential informant. And I asked him then, I was like, really? You know, like, really, babe? And he was like, yes. And when he says something, I always know that it's when you have that about anybody, it could be anything. It always comes to fruition.
But in the remnant, you could be listen, thank you, honey. I wanted you to understand that I don't care what you were in the world. I'm using it as an example to let you know how fair I am. I don't care if you was an informant. I don't care if you was a killer, gangbanger, pimp. Whatever you did, we don't hold that against you because we all coming up out of death. There's no big sin, little sin, and all that. Like I said in one of my videos, we don't judge which sin is bigger or little. The world does, but we don't. But I'm not in the world. We're in the remnant. So even though I felt that about Eddie, I still put him in leadership because I wanted to watch him. But I understood that this information can change anybody's heart. It changed my heart. It changed my heart. And a guy who was an ex-pimp is really hated even worse than a gang member. Right? And God changed my heart. So he can change anybody's heart. So I just wanted to just share that with you, just out of respect for Manaz and Naya, to let you know this ain't easy for them. They ain't over here celebrating, hear those things about their father. You think it's easy for them, somebody that they still love and will always love, to have to hear those things being said, even if he said whatever he said, it's still not easy for them. And I just wanted to acknowledge both of them in that way, not to try to put them up on no pedestal. This is not about putting nobody up on no pedestal, because we all got to make the same decision to stand on truth, period, at the end of the day, all of us. So they're not doing anything exceptional. Just want you to understand that. But what's exceptional is having to stand on that truth with this situation with somebody that they've dearly loved and continue to dearly love, and then have to see something that they never imagined. So I'm gonna leave the last with them. They could close, but I don't know if they want to say anything, but I just, here.
Okay, I got to clear something.
Okay, so I just want to end with this because I've seen something about them feeling like my husband is using me as a chess piece against them, or what else was it? It was, yeah, a pawn against my dad, or pretty much just me being in a space of, what did he said something specific, I can't remember, something that pretty much in the, yeah, in that same category. But what I want to make clear is, when it comes to, you know, my dad, my brother, my sister, what y'all don't understand, or what y'all fail to understand, is I'm not just a daughter or that little girl that y'all know. I'm a married woman, a leader, and a soon to be mother. So I'm not accountable to my dad, to my brother, my sister, that whole family thing, or family over whatever. I'm a married woman, right? And for my dad to sit there, you know, he made threats towards my husband, the father of my child, and all of that. The moment you said disparaging things about me, the moment Tori, Elijah sided with that, and my mom, if that's where she at, because she took a disposition publicly as well, you know, yeah, I'm not accountable to y'all. And for Tori, my dad, and Elijah, for, you know, to go as far as y'all did, especially my dad, it's like, we not as cool as y'all think we should be. It's not sweet like that. For y'all to feel like I'm still supposed to be not going against y'all or whatever, or being used as whatever I have to say to y'all, that's how I feel. It's not my husband telling me, oh, maybe you should express this, you should say that. Nobody's in my ear about how I feel about y'all, because y'all are my family, and whatever I have to say, if I'm feeling some kind of way or something needs to be checked, then I have no problem addressing it, right? And that's what y'all have been seeing. But don't make it seem like just because I'm speaking against y'all, it's an issue, because y'all have went way, and it's not me speaking against y'all, it's just simple facts. It's the truth, because y'all been way beyond, you know, just been just flat out, what's the word? Just been,
Disrespectful.
yeah, just been disrespectful and foul, and just ugly, you know, just been real salty, you know. So I just wanted to make that clear, because I did see that earlier, you know. It's not, yeah, it ain't sweet like that. So yeah, it ain't cool.
Yeah, just another, just one of many lies that I done heard them speak on, right, is that the remnant and Dre is here trying to separate our family, right? And you know, that was disheartening to hear Tori say that, because this remnant brought our family together. You know what I'm saying? When we was back in Detroit, everybody, we was doing our own thing. Yeah, we was close, sure, but we still was doing our own thing, and the remnant brought us back together under one roof. You know what I'm saying? This is me and Naya's first time being out here, seeing my father and my mother stand under the same roof. And that was a beautiful blessing that we used to pray for, you know what I'm saying? And it was Dre and the remnant that brought that together. You know what I'm saying? It was Dre's idea to, you know, have family meetings monthly, you know what I'm saying, with our whole family, and every Thursday, he would allow me and Elijah to share his couch with him, and or we'd go out to eat or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and bond with him and Naya, you know what I'm saying? So, and I've never seen, our family never was that close to where we would have family meetings and, you know what I'm saying, go out to eat weekly, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't until we came here, our family was really sealed together. Not only was we brought together, but we was under some truth information that allowed us to be, you know, it was no arguments. It got to a point where, you know what I'm saying, everything was smooth within the household, you know what I'm saying, because of how we operate, our godly behaviors, you know what I'm saying, until they started to go back into their old ways, man, and choosing that indoctrination, you know. And once again, just like the first time the family was split up, it was my pop's actions, man, and his anger, you know what I'm saying, that split us up, you know what I'm saying. So we love y'all, man, but yeah, y'all out of bounds right now, and me and my sister, we gonna stand over here in righteousness, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, yeah, man, you know, but yeah, y'all can catch us on, you know, we do classes from 7 p.m. to what, like 8:30, yeah, to, you know what I'm saying, standard time. And you can catch us on YouTube Mondays and Fridays. You can catch us on Instagram on Tuesdays and OnlyFans on Thursdays. You know what I'm saying? And here you can catch the free live on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, every week. You know what I'm saying? We consistent. So all praises. Little sister. I love you.